start with the salawat, please. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. All right, so yesterday we looked at a little bit of, you remember it? Surah Al-Hujurat. You got to wake up a little bit, okay? Surah number 49. I'll continue with that later on. But today I'd like to, you saw these yesterday, and I'm going to show them to you every single day so that I'll have some of you come up and say that you will sort out the classes next year, okay? We're looking for volunteers. We will help you through. You can shadow us this year, and so next year you can do that for your children. I can see smiles, but I can't see anybody sort of saying, I'm going to come up. But inshallah, I've got a lot of days to go. We will show you the video for Ramadan Village, which we'll be doing with your children hopefully this month. But what I'd like to talk about today, before I go into anything else, is that a week of fasting has finished. Today is the 7th fast. Laylatul Qadr is just around the corner. You haven't got much time towards it. You need to be able to formulate your mission statement and what you want for the year. It's not rocket science to know that rather than get whatever's been dished out, you want to personalize it to yourself. So you've got this invitation here, 3 days, or 3 things, Barakah, Rahmah, and Maghfirah, which I talked about yesterday. So what you need to do, and what I tell the children to do, is before we do Surah Al-Qadr, is to take a piece of paper. I'll go towards it first. Put it into 4 sections. Start now. Take a piece of paper, fold it into 4 sections. Put spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical. So next year at this time, what do you want? You want to eat healthily? Do you want to be a certain weight? Do you want to have certain muscles? Do you want to develop a certain, whatever you want to do? It doesn't really matter. And if you can't think of anything, at least say next Ramadan, I need the ability to be able to fast. Khalas. Emotional, resentment, hatred, jealousy, all those things you're going to take out of your system. You want a big heart. You want to be able to love. All the rest of it. Mental, write down what you want to do. I know when you have children, you don't have time to read, or you don't have time to do sudokus or crosswords, or I don't know, whatever. But whatever it be, you want to be mentally active. I don't know what rocks your boat. Do what you have to do. Spiritual. Now in my spiritual, I write numbers. So I write 114, 17, 51, 99, and 14. You tell me what I mean by those numbers. 114? The 114th surah of the Quran. Okay. 17? My 17 rakats, I wish to pray them on time. 5 prayers, 5 times a day. 51 includes the nafilah and the tahajjud. So that's an aspiration. Can I do tahajjud and all the nafilah? I don't know. But last year, I was sitting, we were in the men's hall, and I was sitting behind the door in the Zari room. And I saw this little girl. She can't have been more than 10 years old. She came into the room. She didn't know I was behind the door. She read 8 rakats of Nafil of Zohar. Then she read Zohar. Then she read 8 rakats of Asr. Then she read 4 rakats of Asr. And then she read another 2 rakats. At that point, I just couldn't. Couldn't help myself. So I went up to her and I said, what were those 2 rakats for? She didn't know I was sitting there. She said, they're for my mama and papa. I want my mama and papa to live a long life and a healthy life. I mean, I was in awe of her. So spiritual, do what you want to do. So this is something I do. This is my non-negotiable list. So as far as physical goes, I want to be able to walk 10 to 30 minutes a day. I swim every day, but I'd like to walk 10 to 30 minutes a day. I want to eat healthy and moderately at Sehri and Iftar, and to be able to hydrate between Maghrib and Fajr. I'm talking about the non-negotiables in Ramadan. Okay? My mental, at least 10 minutes of reflection or journaling. God, and I'd like to reduce that social media scrolling. It's so tempting. You go through every single bit. Okay. Emotional, maybe do one thing right The hard bit is to forgive. I can't forget. But forgive, yeah, maybe. I'm going to try, okay? And then spiritual, like I said, I want to pray Salah on time, recite at least a page of Quran after every Salah, not only in Ramadan, but afterwards as well. And recite and understand Dua al-Iftitah. We had an awesome recitation of Dua al-Iftitah today, but it kind of goes past our head. So maybe we can do a little bit more on it, okay? The other thing that we need to do before I go into Surah Al-Qadr is formulate a plan of writing a mission statement. Who are you? What do you want in life? And please don't base it around your children, because they're going to grow up and they're going to go away. So if you're going to say my mission statement is to see my children happy, yeah, right, okay. I know, I have 5. I'm not talking out of non-experience, and I have 9 grandchildren as well. So as far as you look at your children and grandchildren, yes, you can pray for them. But this is you. You and me are going to go into our graves on our own. So when that angel of death comes, what am I going to say? If he tells me, what did you do in the world? What am I going to say? I cooked, I cleaned, I washed, all the rest of it. But what else did you do? What did you bring? How did you make the world a better place? We'll keep on talking about this, but it goes with your aspirations. But before we do anything else, I'd like to go through Surah Al-Qadr. And I'm going to go through it a few times until Laylatul Qadr, so it sort of comes out of your ears. Surah Al-Qadr, first of all, is a surah that you recite all the time. If you find your children are being a bit antsy, if you find mother-in-law and father-in-law being antsy, recite Surah Al-Qadr. Has an amazing effect of calming people down, okay? You've got all the bits at the side there, all the other stuff that you need to know. So the first thing we're going to look at, what does Qadr mean? Okay. Now, I put it here, quantity and quality. And the best way I can explain it, and I do this every year, is most of you are much, much younger. But I don't know whether you know a program called Ready, Steady, Cook. Have you ever watched it? If you haven't, go to YouTube, okay? It's an old program. So they had these 2 chefs, and they gave them certain ingredients. So maybe one got, let's say, for example, there's me and I'm going to pick on Fatima sitting over there because she won't feel bad about it. So say she got potatoes and I got prawns. Immediately the thought process is, my goodness, she got something better than I did. But say I just put all my prawns in a little bit of a bowl. I stuck some salad cream over it. I didn't even clean them. But she made her potatoes really well. She made them like proper Indian aloo, you know, like put all the methi and the bay leaves and the salt and the chilies and the lemons. Okay, you tell me, which one would you take? Yeah, obviously her potatoes. Okay. So in the same way, Qadr is literally about what you do with what you get. Laylatul Qadr is the night of what you get. And it's in proportion to what you want. You can't say, Ya Allah, do good for me. It doesn't work like that. You need a micro level of writing what you want. Otherwise, you get nothing. Literally nothing. You get what you get to breathe, you get to live, you get to reproduce, you get to do whatever you want to, or you get to die. But besides that, Qadr is really, really important. It's the only surah that is revealed as a whole about one night. No other surah talks about one night. So here he says, Inna, indeed we. I'd like you to know each word, and I will keep on repeating it. Anzalnahu is all at once. If there was a shadda, nazala, then it would be over time. He says, we revealed all at once it, and it is natural. You know what it is? It is the Quran. Fi laylatul Qadr, on the night of Qadr. Are you good with that? Inna anzalnahu fi laylatil Qadr. I repeat again, the month of Ramadan is only a celebration of the birthday of the Quran, which is quite awesome, because today I was on a Q school Zoom call. So I do these Zoom calls with people who are not in this country. And the little girl asked me, "Oh, my auntie, you said it is the birthday of the Quran. How old is the Quran?" I was a bit stumped. How old is the Quran? Yeah, she's right. Every birthday you say how old something is. I could say timeless. But to a 5-year-old, I can't say timeless. I have to give her a date. So I thought, so I'm going to ask you, when was the first 5 ayat of the Quran revealed? Tell me. You're really quiet, aren't you? It is called the day of Mab'ath. Yes? Suratul Alaq, the first 5 ayat. How old was the Prophet? Repeat, how old was the Prophet when he had those ayat? How much? 40. Great. Okay. How long did he stay in Makkah before Hijrah? Really? How long did he live? This is your prophet and my prophet. 63. Well done. Okay. So if he was 63, minus 40 is how much? Math without calculators. 60 take away, 63 take away 40 is? Thank you. 23. Now, 23 years between Makkah and Medina. How many years was he in Medina? Oh, tell me you don't know. You don't. 10. How many left in Makkah? 13. Good. What is the year? What is this year? What is the lunar year? No, don't tell me 2026. I'm asking for the lunar year. 14? Oh, thank God for that. 1447 plus 13 is what? 1447 plus 13 without a calculator is 1460. So how old is the Quran? 1460. Ah, thank God for that. We got there eventually. So for each of the Masumin, you need to be able to split up their life. You need to know. So now with the Prophet, I hope you know 40, 13, 10. 40, first revelation. 13, the 13 years in Makkah. Then he went for Hijrah and 10 years in Medina, 40, 13, 10. And this calendar that we have begins at Hijrah. Are you good with that? So I told her 1447 plus 13, and she could do that. Okay, so now you know how old the Quran is. Inna anzalnahu fi laylatul qadr. Wa ma adraka ma laylatul qadr. And what will make you know what the night of Qadr is? Allah need not have repeated that. Everywhere when he asks, Wama adraka, when he keeps on asking again, it's to emphasize. He's telling me there is something about this night that you have not understood. Then he says, this night, Laylatul Qadr, khayrum min alfish shahr. It's better than 1,000 months. Okay, back to math. 1,000 months is how many years? Okay, 1,000 divided by 12 without looking at your calculator. Isn't that what you tell your kids? Do you give them phones when they're 5 or 6 or 7 or 8? Oh, you don't. Well done. Okay. So divide 1,000 by 12. How much does it come to? Approximately. Somebody? Yeah, use your phone. 83? It's about 83 years. It's about a lifetime. So metaphorically, he's saying that the night of Qadr is better than your lifetime. Not rocket science to give some importance to that night. And then he says, what happens in that night? Tanazzalul malaikatu. What do you notice here? Up here, I said, Inna anzalnahu. And I said, there's no shadda. What does it say here? Tanazzalul. There is a shadda. Which means that these malaika, these angels, come down group by group by group. They don't come out all at once. They come down across the night. Warruh, which is obviously Jibrail, fiha is in it, bi'idhni rabbihim, with the permission of their Rabb, min kulli amr, with absolutely everything. So my whole timetable for the year is set out on that night. If I haven't made a timetable, then I have to just accept what comes my way. And maybe the best example I can give you is we have a workshop and a madrasa at this center. And whether it's workshop or madrasa or daily Quran classes, every year before we start, we have a meeting. Now, the teachers that are present can put up their hands and say, I don't want to teach this class, this is a subject I prefer, and all the rest of it. But if they don't turn up at that meeting, then we give them whatever's there. Because they didn't come, they didn't bother to come. And maybe they were ill, and maybe they were away, then maybe they will write to us and tell us. But if they didn't do any of those, then we just put them on one side. So in the same way on Laylatul Qadr, if you and I do not make a timetable for the year, then it's just going to be as, well, whatever comes your way. You will breathe, you will live, you will eat, you will drink, you will reproduce, but that's about it. If you want something special, for God's sakes, make your timetable. Okay, and we'll talk about what day. Salamun hiya hatta matla'il fajr. It is peace. And it's not only, it's a peace until dawn. Remember, we pray Salatul Fajr a bit earlier. Here you've got an extension up till dawn. So from today, how many days left to Qadr, by the way? 19, 21, 23rd. So 19. We'll start with the 19th. How many days left to Qadr? If tonight is the 8th night, again we go math. 19 minus 8 is, 11. Well done. Haven't got much time at all. We haven't got time. Sit down and make your timetable. And if you give me excuses for children, I'm not going to take it. I've had 5, I know. There are times where you can find half an hour. Lock yourself in the bathroom. Give the kids to the husband. Half an hour, write down. 10 minutes, write down when they've gone to sleep. Use that time to write down what you want on Qadr. Like I said, take a piece of paper, fold it into 4. Physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. That gives you sections to do. Are you good with that? Good. Okay, we'll go over more stuff later on. Now, on the 19th, and this is from the Masumin. We've tried to put it as easily as possible for you. On the 19th, it's kind of, you set your budget. On the 21st, it's sort of set in stone. But you've got a bit of a leeway from 19th to 21st to change it. You've also got a leeway from 21st to 23rd. You can still scratch out stuff and put your stuff on it. But 23rd, it is sealed, okay? So we've put paper, stone, and steel, so hopefully you will be able to remember that. Are you good with that? Many Muslims say, or many other Muslims will say the 27th is a night of Qadr. We're told it's any one of the 10 nights, but the reason why we give more emphasis of the 23rd is there are lots of ahadith. One is Hadith Juhni. Juhni was a man who had a farm outside Medina. He had lots of children, lots of farm animals, and he couldn't come to the mosque very often. And he used to come as little as possible. But they noticed that he asked the Prophet, tell me one night that I should come to the mosque out of the whole year. And the Prophet whispered something in his ear. After the Prophet died, they noticed that Juhni would come on the night of the 23rd. So out of the whole year, the most important night, the Prophet said, was Laylatul Qadr, and therefore Laylatul Qadr was on the night of the 23rd. There are many, many ahadith. There's not only one, but Hadith Juhni is one of those that is quite important. Now normally, and I don't know about you, but normally on Laylatul Qadr, we come to the mosque, we cover in our glad rags on the 23rd, and we're so uncomfortable, we just want to get home and change. Come into something that's really, really comfortable. Come to the mosque, yes. If you can't, do them at home. When you read Makarimul Akhlaq, and we will do the 3 surahs, which are the surahs? Dukhan, Ankabut, and Rum. Imam Sadiq says, if you recite Ankabut and Rum, recite as in do its tilawa, you're definitely Ahlul Jannah. But you've got to start learning it from now. Annotate your book. I'm trying to find my book. It's somewhere down there. Annotate your book. Do you know Makarimul Akhlaq? Do you know why you read Tawbah? And if you can't do them, don't do those du'as. Just do a little bit of thinking and understanding. How am I going to ask for forgiveness? How am I going to do tawbah? And how am I going to become a better person? I will continue with this as much as I can. Okay, we've done this. Back to Surah Al-Hujurat. Can I have a salawat, please? Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil faraja. I told you Surah Al-Hujurat meant rooms, and it's Surah number 49. The Prophet had built his rooms around Masjidun Nabi. And at one point he had asked for all the doors to be closed, except that of Sayyidah Fatima to be there. I suggest you read about the morphology of Medina. How the Prophet built Medina. It's phenomenal. He had green spaces, he had all the industries on the outside. When he built the mosque, he made sure the graveyard was near the mosque. So when people left the mosque, they would go through the graveyard. He made sure that the businesses were all around the mosque. So not only would people, when they come to pray, go to visit the businesses, the different shops that they had, but people who were running the businesses wouldn't find it hard to come to the mosque. It was amazing, the community he built. He made sure that the roads that were built were such that 2 camels would pass without any problems at all. He put a lot of thought process into it. So when you think of Medina, look at the morphology. It never was called Medina, it was called Yathrib. And then it was called Madinatul Munawwara, the lighted city. But I suggest you read about it, how he did it. He made sure each of the people in his family had a separate dwelling, if I might put it. So when somebody asks for a separate house, they're pretty well entitled to it. You know that when your sons get married, it is wajib for your son to provide his wife with a separate room unless she agrees to live with you. And mother-in-laws are a pain in the neck. I'm one of them, I know, okay? So, be mindful of what your sons are told. Look at Surah Al-Hujurat. I'm not even talking about your mother-in-laws, I'm talking about you, okay? All right. So Surah Al-Hujurat, plural of rooms is Hujurat. Are you good with that? The focus of Hujurat is basically building blocks of building a society. If you respect the mosque, if you respect the Quran, if you respect the Prophet, you will definitely respect people. So when you don't respect people, it's not rocket science to know that you do not respect the Prophet, you do not respect the mosque, and you do not respect the Quran. It's just like I tell young men. I told you we run an organization called Cupid, which is matchmaking. And I always tell them, when they start talking about their mom, I tell them, if you do not respect your mom, you will never be able to respect your wife. And I tell women, or tell young girls, when they're looking for boys to get married to, ask him about his mom. See what he says. If he tells you she's a pain in the neck, run. Like, really run. Because one day he's going to say that about you. And you might not like it if your husbands or your future husbands look after their moms, but it shows a level of respect that is phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal, okay? I'm married to somebody for the last 49 years, and he always says, his mother died, but he says that if my mother sneezed in East Africa, it would hurt my heart. And you know that that's a good person, okay? So teach your sons that, inshallah they will respect you as well. All right, so we started with Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu. I went through this yesterday, I'll go through it again today. Or you who believe, La tuqaddimu bayna yaday Allahi wa rasuli. Never put yourself in front. I didn't tell you a story yesterday, which I will today. Month of Ramadan, just like now. The Prophet was traveling, but when he came to a certain place, it was time for iftar, and he asked them for a glass of water. And they gave him a glass of water. But the companions did not break their fast. They thought if they kept the fast longer, they would get more thawab. They see the Prophet breaking his fast, but they're not breaking their fast because they think we're going to get more thawab than the Prophet. So that's another thing. You cannot put yourself and say, well, I think it should be like this. Your thinking doesn't matter. What matters is the thinking of the Creator and His Messenger. Okay. Wattaqullah, be God conscious. Inna Allah Sami'un Alim. I asked you yesterday what Sami was. What is the number in Asma al-Husna? I'm glad you do your homework. Sami? Okay. Look it up for tomorrow. Alim? Sami was one who hears. Alim is one who knows everything. Inshallah, you will look at your 99 names and tell me where that belongs. See, she feels bad for you. So she's brought you the bookmarks which tell you where Sami and Alim are. Oh my goodness. Like, that's called rahmah. Okay? All right. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu. Or you who believe. La tarfa'u aswatakum fawta sawtin nabi. Do you not raise your voice above the voice of the Prophet? I told you about how these people came, shouted at the Prophet. But also, when people argue and they talk over the Prophet, you can't do that. Today, it is the Quran. Today, it is the Quran, it is Salah, how we manage to respect Quran and Salah. Okay. وَلَا تَجْهَرُوا لَهُ بِالْقَوْلِ. And don't talk to him كَجَهْرِ بَعْضِكُمْ لِبَعْضٍ, like you talk to other people. I mentioned yesterday that Sayyidah Fatima did not call her father father. She called him Rasulullah. I also told you that Imam Ali, being so close to him, never said Ya Muhammad. You know, I was telling the children the other day, when the first scholar went to India, and many of us come from the Indian subcontinent, when he went to India to teach people Islam, they refused to say Muhammadur Rasulullah. They just couldn't say it. They would say Muhammad by Rasulullah. Because in their culture, to respect someone, you had to say by. So they refused. When they were taught, say La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, they refused. They would say La ilaha illallah Muhammad by Rasulullah. In the language you and I speak, or maybe, I don't know whether you speak Kutchi or Gujarati or Urdu or any of the Indian subcontinent languages, we say tame, we don't say tu. In Kutchi you say I. In Urdu you say aap. And that was a level of respect, which you do not find in the English language. So there's a level of respect when you talk to the Prophet. And just as I said to you yesterday, whenever you take the name of a Ma'soom, you will recite a salawat, which is Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And you get the sawab for it as well. Okay, I'm going to ask you a question. Where in the Quran do you find this ayah that says, send salawat on the Prophet? It says, Inna Allaha wa malaikatahu yusalluna alan nabi. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu sallu alayhi wa sallimu taslima. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Where? Which surah? Try. Okay, homework. Look it up. You've got a search engine. Okay? Oh. And he says, the moment you do not respect the Prophet, and tahabata a'malakum wa antum la tash'urun, all your deeds are rubbed out, and you won't even notice it. You won't even know. You'll think I've done a lot of good stuff. Inna alladhina yaghudhuna aswatahum, those who lower their voice. And in our case, it's when the Quran is being recited, when Salah is being read. In the Rasulullah, أُولَٰئِكَ الَّذِينَ امْتَحَنَ اللَّهُ قُلُوبَهُم, they're the ones who are righteous in their hearts. لِلتَّقْوَى, with God consciousness, لَهُمْ مَغْفِرَةٌ وَأَجْرٌ أَذِيمٌ, for them there is forgiveness and a great ajr. Now, I'm not only talking about the Prophet here. As we go along, we'll see it. It's how we talk to each other. Do we shout? Do we scream? Do you abuse? Do you use words that you would not want your children to use? Even if my children say yeah instead of yes, their father doesn't like it. And he doesn't shout. He's a really quiet person. He will actually tell them. And if they shout at the table or talk loudly, he will say, how far are we? We're not that far at all. We're all sitting on one table. And he will hear them out. Doesn't mean he's going to agree with them, but he hears them out. So as parents, these are things we learn from these manners. Like I said, this surah is all about how you behave and about the manners that you will use. Okay. Inna alladhina yunadunaka. Indeed, those who call you min wara'il hujurat, from behind the walls. Aktharuhum la ya'kulun. They don't think. They used to shout at the Prophet, Muhammad, come out. Yo, nothing like any respect. Do I respect my elders? Do I respect people? Do I respect the ulama? Do I respect scholars? This all goes with this ayah. What I'd like you to do now is learn these four, hopefully, and I'll go over them tomorrow. And I'm going to ask Fatim to play the things we have for children for Ramadan Village and Suratul Qadr. Incidentally, I'll leave this up. You can join the QF updates group by scanning that QR code. Do you want to play it? Yeah, change that. We'll put it up later on. So this is a sort of video we've done for children on Ramadan Village. Kaswa was so excited when he saw the new moon in Ramadan. This means that Ramadan Village is now open and we can visit. As him and Safiya looked down, they saw the lighted path that would lead them to Ramadan Village. They were so excited. So they went down the pebbled path with Kaswa's mama following them all the way down. Kaswa thought of all the things that he wanted to do in Ramadan, and he was so excited. As they neared Ramadan Village, there were so many angels, and Habib, he was at the gate. Their first stop was the stall that had dates and cool fresh water. Kaswa wanted to pay for them. Safiya told him, "Didn't you know that it is the month in which if you gave someone a date or even a sip of water, it's like you're freed from all your past sins? Kaswa, if you want to use your money, just go to the charity box and make a donation." And that's exactly what Kaswa did. He put it in the charity box. Then they walked to the graveyard, both of them. And there they saw the monument with the hands raised. Kaswa remembered the dua, Allahumma adkhil ala ahli al-qubur surur. Oh Allah, give those in the grave happiness and peace. He and Safiya both recited Surah Al-Fatiha for all those who had died. Safiya's grandmother had told them about Q School. This is where they would come every day after school in the month of Ramadan to learn about the Quran. And then the showstopper, the Laylatul Qadr arena. Kaswa recognized it immediately. It was like number 97, Quran City, the Suratul Qadr building. It was filled with lights and banners and balloons. And he saw his name and Safiya's name on the wall. And he knew that he had to post a letter with his aspirations and his hopes. Him and Safiya both did that. They wrote down what they wanted to do for the year. They wanted to be clever. They wanted to help others. They wanted to pray on time, read Quran, be healthy, all the good things. And when the angel took away their letters, they knew their du'as were answered. And then they heard the train. They knew that that train was going to go to Quran City. The Quran was revealed in Ramadan, and they wanted to go to Quran City to be able to explore it. They hurried up, and Safiya's grandma helped them both get onto the train, and off they went to Quran City. Kaswa was one evening. As the sky turned golden and the stars began to appear, Safiya called out excitedly, "Come and look at the moon!" Kaswa lifted his head and gazed up at the sky. High above them was a thin silver crescent, shaped just like the letter C. It was the new moon of Ramadan. Safiya's grandma smiled and asked them to raise their hands in dua. Together they thanked Allah for bringing them to this special month. Inside the house, everything felt different. Lanterns glowed softly. The table was filled with fruit, and a large platter of dates sat in the middle. Kaswa whispered to Safiya, asking what was happening. Safiya explained that Ramadan had begun, a month when angels are everywhere and when believers are the guests of Allah. Safiya then showed Kaswa her Ramadan calendar. Each day had a little surprise, but the last 10 days sparkled the most. Written across them were the words, Suratul Qadr. One night, the 23rd, shone brighter than all the others. Safiya told Kaswa that one of the last nights was very special. It was the night when the Quran was first revealed, basically the birthday of the Quran, and Suratul Qadr was dedicated to that night. That evening, Kaswa went home, deep in thought. As he lay in bed, he wondered, will
I be invited to the birthday of the Quran? He did wudu, recited Surah Al-Fatiha, Ayatul Kursi, and the 4 calls, and this time he also recited Surah Al-Qadr. Suddenly, Kaswa found himself standing at the gate of Quran City. He knocked and the door opened, and there was Habib, who welcomed him warmly and invited him inside. Kaswa entered with the name of Allah on his lips, and Habib smiled, telling him what a good camel he was. When asked where he wanted to go, Kaswa knew exactly. He wanted to visit number 97, right in the center of Quran City. When they arrived, Kaswa's eyes widened. The building was filled with lights and banners and balloons and countless angels. But then Kaswa felt worried. He hadn't brought a present. Habib reassured him. The best present for the Quran's birthday, he said, was to read it, memorize it, understand it, apply it, and teach it. Kaswa remembered the hand that Safia's grandma had once helped him draw, with those 5 words on each finger and Iqra written on the palm. Inside the grand arena, Kaswa saw angels everywhere. On one wall, he spotted a box, and the box had his name on it. And his picture, Habib explained. This was where Kaswa could post his goals and du'as for the year. Kaswa picked up a pencil and carefully wrote his hopes. He folded the paper into 4 sections: body, mind, heart, and soul. He wrote that he wanted to be healthy, to learn at camel school, to love his family and friends, to help others, to pray on time, to recite the Quran, and to be a good camel. As he posted his note, an angel gently collected it. Kaswa felt happier than he ever had before. Then softly he heard the call to prayer, the adhan. It was time for Fajr. As Kaswa prayed, he recited Surah Al-Qadr once more and thought about Quran City, number 97. Deep in his heart, Kaswa knew that his du'as had been heard and that this night was better than 1,000 months.
Right, can we have a salawat, please? Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa atil faraj. First time I've seen all your children just stare at the screen. It's awesome. Okay, so we'll put the QR code up. I'm not sure whether it's up or not, or you can take it for the updates group. Can we end with the Surah Al-Fatiha, please? Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين صدق الله العظيم لي 5 أطفي بها هر الوباء الحاتمة المصطفى والمرتضى وأبناهما والفاطمة. Your bookmarks are here. You can take them if you want. They're asmalos.